Rod Marsh is a name remembered within the cricket community for a remarkable display throughout his wicket-keeping career. One of the top wicket-keepers of his era, Rod Marsh was one of the most acclaimed, if not the most acclaimed wicket-keepers of his time. His skills on the field were the first subject of ridicule, but Marsh used this to fuel himself. Rod Marsh would soon become a wicket-keeper that opponents would dread seeing on the field standing behind them. Before going on to recount the historic career of Rod Marsh, remember to like and subscribe for more content about the greats of this game. Born on November 4th, 1947 in Perth, Australia, Marsh's career has shown one of the most promising journeys throughout his entire lifespan, where he has been seen as carrying the banner of Australia with every wicket that he has stuck down. Being from a sporting family, it was more than obvious that Marsh would gravitate towards the sport of cricket in his childhood. This was further nourished by a father who was a keen cricketer himself. Marsh's father started building up his son's skills from a young and early age. Over time, this would develop to Marsh making a name for himself on the local cricket circuits, where he would be recognized for his cricket prowess and his ability to play. Growing up, Marsh would show his penchant for sports and end up making a name for himself on the local circuits, which would naturally lead to a career in the domestic leagues and eventually his debut on the international stage. Making his Test debut during the 1970-71 Ashes series against England, it would be assumed by most that Rod Marsh's career would hit it big, right away considering his background in cricket, especially how crucial a part of his life the game had been. Yet as it turns out, past experience counts for little on the international level when competing with some of the best in the sport. In his debut appearance, Marsh made a number of mistakes, especially dropping several catches that would then earn him the nickname of Iron Gloves. This would be a considerable blow to the ego of Rod Marsh and would push him to work on his technique. A famous quote of Rod Marsh around his debut is, "I felt like jumping the fence and taking some positive action in defense of my honor." After this moment, Rod Marsh would start working day and night in order this nickname of ridicule into one of honor for himself, something he would succeed at by the end of his career. Despite a rocky debut at the start of his career, Rod Marsh would start tuning eyes and heads towards himself with his performance soon. Over his 14-year Test career, he played 96 matches and accumulated an astounding 355 dismissals, setting a world record at the time. Clearly, the effort that Marsh was putting into his technique was working. As has been often credited by him, his discipline and consistency were key to his success on the field. This record stood as a testament not only to his skill, but also to his partnership with fast bowler Dennis Lillee. Together, they formed one of cricket's most iconic duos. The phrase "caught Marsh, bowled Lillee" became synonymous with their partnership, with Marsh accounting for 95 of Lillee's wickets. This duo would become iconic for the Australian team as a matchup to be feared. Setting records for the Kangaroos, the duo would lay the groundwork for the dominant bowling that the Australian side would have through much of the 70s. Marsh didn't just clear himself as a wicketkeeper who would shine through his hard work and dedication. He would also make a name for himself as a batsman. He became the first Australian wicketkeeper to score a Test century when he hit 118 against Pakistan in 1972-73. His aggressive style made him a valuable lower-order batsman. He scored 3 Test centuries and 16 half-centuries throughout his career. One of his standout performances came during the Centenary Test against England in 1977, where he scored an unbeaten 110 and surpassed Wally Grout's record for most dismissals as an Australian wicketkeeper. The World Cup is the greatest stage in the world for cricket, and Marsh would make his mark here as well. Marsh played a crucial role in one-day internationals, ODIs. He was part of the Australian squad that reached the finals of the inaugural Cricket World Cup in 1975. Although they finished as runners-up to the West Indies, Marsh's contributions were pivotal throughout the tournament. Marsh's ability to remain grounded and consistent throughout his time at the World Cup has often been recalled. The Australia team would be constantly under pressure throughout this period, but Marsh would ensure that he had the ability and strength to navigate through the stress faced by the Australian side and come out in one piece. Yet despite this, the career of Rod Marsh would not be free from controversy. Perhaps through no fault of his, Rod Marsh would be wrapped in one of the infamous days of Australian cricket. where underhanded tactics used by the Australian side would win them the game, but mar their reputation forever. Perhaps one of the most infamous moments in cricket history involving Rod Marsh was the underarm bowling incident during a one-day international against New Zealand in 1981. In a desperate attempt to secure victory, Australian captain Greg Chappell instructed bowler Trevor Chappell to deliver an underarm bowl on the last ball of the match. This controversial tactic drew widespread condemnation from fans and players alike, with many viewing it as unsportsmanlike conduct. As wicketkeeper during this match, Marsh found himself at the center of this scandalous moment in cricketing history. The incident not only tarnished Australia's reputation, but also sparked debates about sportsmanship and ethics in cricket. In retrospect, Marsh acknowledged that while it was a strategic decision at that moment, it would forever be remembered as a dark chapter in Australian cricket. Rod Marsh's impact on cricket extended beyond his playing days. After retiring from international cricket, he took on coaching roles and became head of the Australian Cricket Academy in Adelaide. There, he mentored future stars like Ricky Ponting and Glenn McGrath. His influence helped shape a generation of cricketers who would go on to achieve great success on the international stage. Marsh also served as an England selector later in his career, a role that showcased his deep knowledge of the game and commitment to nurturing talent across borders. His contributions were recognized when he was awarded an MBE for services to cricket. Another notable controversy that Rod Marsh would be involved in would surprisingly not be throughout this career, but with him as a coach and selector. Rod Marsh's career cemented him as a cricket great and brought him in high demand as a coach after his retirement. For histories of more cricket greats, like and subscribe for more. After retiring from playing, Marsh transitioned into coaching and selection roles within Australian cricket. His tenure as chairman of selectors from 2014 to 2016 was marked by its own set of controversies. Notably, he faced criticism for not selecting certain players who were deemed deserving by fans and former cricketers alike. Most notably, Usman Khawaja during the critical series against New Zealand. This led to public outcry and scrutiny over selection policies within Cricket Australia. Marsh's decisions often put him in direct conflict with former players who had strong opinions about team composition. His role required balancing team dynamics with public expectations, a challenging task that ultimately led to his resignation after a disappointing series defeat against South Africa in late 2016. Despite facing health challenges later in life, including a heart attack that led to his passing on March 4, 2022, Rod Marsh remained a beloved figure in cricket circles until the end. His legacy lives on in every catch taken behind the stumps and every run scored by those who followed in his footsteps. Rod Marsh's life was a constant that cricket is a sport that demonstrates dedication and discipline, even from its greats, and there is no meal that is handed in this game. Even greats such as Rod Marsh have had shaky strats in their careers and have had to work out things in order to ensure that they are making headwinds correctly. Players become greats such as Rod Marsh, not by sheer luck, but by consistency and hard work. This ethos of Rod Marsh was always on display as he worked to make himself a world-class cricketer in the eyes of everyone around him, focusing on his wicket-keeping skills and making him someone that would be for the best. Rod Marsh is remembered with enthusiasm, even decades after the end of playing career for this reason. It's clear that Rod Marsh not only defined an era of Australian cricket, but also set benchmarks that continue to inspire cricketers around the globe today. In conclusion, whether you're a diehard fan or new to the sport, Rod Marsh's story is one of resilience and passion, a narrative that reminds us all that greatness is often born from overcoming adversity. So next time you watch a match or see a wicketkeeper take an incredible catch, remember Rod Marsh, the man who turned iron gloves into legend.